Clara Hinton was home alone that morning.
I can remember it was a gorgeous day.
She had followed the attack on the World Trade Center towers and the Pentagon. Then at 10:03, she heard Flight 93 hit the ground just 2 miles away.
My house rattled. It was like a tree had fallen.
Her TV and phone lines went down. Soon after, a friend stopped by with news of the crash.
I just remember such fear coming over me because things like that don't happen in Shanksville.
It's believed that the hijackers on Flight 93 planned to crash it into the White House or the U.S. Capitol. Instead, under attack from passengers on the plane, they crashed it into this field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
A few minutes later, the plane would have hit the town's only school. 20 minutes later, it would have struck Washington. Within hours, the town transformed into a crisis center, receiving state and federal investigators.
Our community was just round the clock helping. That fire hall was full of people with home-baked pies and great cooked meals, and sandwiches were available constantly.
Chuck Wagner helped with a recovery effort and began meeting loved ones of the Flight 93 heroes as they visited the crash site.
I just could feel a compassion, not my compassion, the Lord's compassion.
Community leaders asked Hinton, a grief counselor, and others to be available to the families.
We talked, we cried, we reminisced, we talked more, we shared tissues, we shared coffee. I brought several up to my home to rest.
Today, many of those who live here have formed an unexpected bond with the families of Flight 93. All of them shaped by unexpected tragedy.
Some will keep in touch with Facebook, and others were just cordial, but anniversary time is sort of like a reunion. We can catch up and see how the grandkids have grown so much.
Markers around Shanksville bear witness to Flight 93, from a welcome sign to the fire trucks to a tiny chapel on the outskirts filled with mementos. The National Park Service fast-tracked a memorial to the flight heroes at the original crash site, opening it in 2011. Today, its rolling landscape and abundant meadows offer comfort and opportunities for reflection on how 40 people quickly banded together in a plan that would cost their lives to save our nation's capital.
When you see this natural area and the wildflowers and the trees, this living landscape, and it inspires hope in many ways.
It's a place of healing. Even families talk about that for loved ones had to die. What more perfect place could it be than in the arms of nature?
20 years later, this tiny hamlet is beyond the raw emotions of the early days. Wagner has published 2 books filled with photos of the tributes to Flight 93, and Hinton collects memorabilia. Some of their questions, however, will never be answered.
I still don't make sense of it. I cannot imagine in my mind that kind of hatred that prompted an act like that, nor can I really grasp the heroism of those aboard Flight 93.
It's a different America than we had back 20 years ago. It's painful in a lot of ways. Back then we weren't Republicans or Democrats, we were Americans. I miss that.
Yeah. For Wagner and Hinton, one of the hopes on this anniversary is that a new generation will learn about what happened in the skies over Shanksville and see the hand of God.
It changes you. I feel closer to God, I would say, closer to God and closer to humankind. I know that when something happens, we bind together, we help each other, we are there for each other. And I think tragedies often bring out the best in people, and that's what I've decided to focus on.
Reporting in Shanksville, Heather Sells, CBN News.